seeing as how I'm currently unavailable doing day job stuff, and adding to that my good buddy Wizard of Cause had a perfect follow-up video for my latest video on Riley Dennis. Or is it Dennis Riley? Or is it Justin? I don't know. To me, he's just the tranny. A disclaimer should be in place though, not all trannies. We should also add another disclaimer. Do not record voiceovers after having worked 36 hours. Anyway, that's all I have for you right now, so I'll leave you in the very capable hands of Wizard of Cause. Enjoy!
Hey everyone. No, I'm not undoomed. He's still off dealing with the real life outside of YouTube. I know, I didn't know such a thing existed either. But I appreciate his hospitality in inviting me to make this guest video. So, without too much further ado, I have for us a delicate little lamb. So let's see what this very familiar argument from what is kind of a familiar face has to offer us tonight.
Would you date someone who's trans?
Probably not. Just not my thing. Sorry, just not my thing. Adam's apples, no.
Would you date someone who's black?
Fuck yeah.
Would you date someone who's fat?
Been there, done that. Didn't get a t-shirt, wouldn't go back.
Would you date someone who's disabled?
Been there, done that, would go back.
Now, honestly, I don't know what your answer is to those questions, but I've met a surprising number of people who would say no to all or at least some of them. Their argument is that it's just a preference and that you can't control who you're attracted to.
Oh, okay. This is where it gets really fun. See, this is where our dear Riley Justin Dennis of Everyday Feminism decides to take the social justice stance that sexual preference is a matter of choice. He doesn't come outright and tell us that, but he will basically imply it, pointing out that everything from media programming to just inherent biases and discriminations are the result of our conditioning, and that all of that is why apparently no one wants to date or fuck Z.
I think most of the time that this is brought up, it's in regards to race. I'll link to a couple really good videos in the description about racial dating preferences, but in this video, I want to talk about our other biases. Let's start with trans people.
Oh boy, I wonder why we're starting with trans people. It couldn't be that this entire video and perhaps the entire column which accompanied is nothing more than a desperate cry of loneliness screaming out into an uncaring world. Please, someone, come and fuck me. I'm so lonely. No. This is a serious sociological breakdown of dating habits. We must take it seriously. Let's continue.
Would you date a trans person, honestly?
Honestly, probably not.
Think about it for a second. Okay, got your answer?
1 second, one whole second, is probably the longest recorded period of time a social justice or gender warrior is able to actually give serious consideration to anything at all. Still, let's give them credit where credit's due.
Well, if you said no, I'm sorry, but that's pretty discriminatory.
I'm a man of discriminating tastes. Again, Adam's apples and the jawlines of Dolph Lundgren, they just don't do anything for me.
Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you're a horrible person who hates trans people.
Oh good, my trans friends will be very happy to hear that.
There was probably a time in my life when I said I wouldn't date a trans person, but
there was a time in your life where you were confused, but that's clearly over now.
since then, I've thought critically about it and changed my mind.
I'm gonna leave thinking critically alone.
I could sit here and show you photos of conventionally attractive trans people. There are definitely trans people who you would never know are trans unless they told you, because they pass for cis.
Well then, where the hell are these pictures, huh? That's probably more likely to convince me than, let's say, your endless screed masking your own sense of identity crisis and desolate loneliness.
And that might convince some of you, but I think arguing that you would only like a trans person if you didn't know they were trans is a poor argument.
Not really, given the fact that most trans people who actually make a transition, hence actually earning the title of trans and not just using it as some sort of identity crutch through which they may avoid having to go out into the world and actually realize who they are through action, effort, accomplishment, and failure, aside from that, I'd say most of the trans people who are genuinely trying to transition to a different gender would prefer that everyone just thought of them and knew of them as that gender and not some special snowflake of gender fluid that does not mean a wet spot in the middle of the mattress.
I think you could be attracted to any trans person, whether they pass or not.
Unless they're ugly as fuck, in which case, no, you won't be attracted to them because you think they're ugly as fuck. This is attraction we're talking about. This isn't personal acceptance. Is this where we've really gotten with social justice? For fuck's sake, really? Has it gone from you're oppressing me because you're not recognizing my pronouns to you're oppressing me because you won't by default want to fuck me? My God, I mean, this is the kind of shit that loses elections. I'm just saying.
I think the main concern that people have in regards to dating a trans person is that they won't have the genitals that they expect. Because we associate penises with men and vaginas with women.
Because of biology, which is the actual process by which you were even allowed to exist in the first place, being part of a sexually dimorphic species that unfortunately has the intellect to be able to fashion themselves very complex and intricate identities so that they can feel that they matter in a universe that doesn't give a fuck. I'm sorry, Riley, am I going too far for you? Let's get back on point.
Some people think they could never date a trans man with a vagina or a trans woman with a penis. But I think that people are more than their genitals. I think that you could feel attraction to someone without knowing what's between their legs.
And if all of a sudden you discover that you have been fooled by somebody who was pretending to be one gender while actually being another, you discover right off the bat that they have been lying to you. Oh, but I suppose the best relationships are usually founded on lies, aren't they?
And if you were to say that you're only attracted to people with vaginas or people with penises, it really feels like you're reducing people just to their genitals. You're kind of objectifying them, but you're thinking of them more as genitals than objects. So I guess you're kind of genitalifying them?
I'm just spitballing here, yeah? But I genuinely, when I hear them fucking pumpkinkin here say this thing, I can't help but imagine that somewhere in some hip, overpriced, vegan, fair trade, all organic cafe somewhere, a group of gender justice warriors with a blog that they're sure is going to revolutionize the world are sitting around spitballing these dumbass fake words to each other, all bringing them up at the end like that, unsure if it really sounds like a word or if their colleagues in the hive mind are willing to accept it. I mean, think about it. Someone's just sort of nibbling down on their tasteless cardboard cookie that's known as some kind of vegan peanut butter stick or something like that. And they look to their gender fluid, trans race, disabled, self-diagnosed PTSD Aussie friend next to them and they ask, mansplaining?
Anyway, my point is, we have implicit biases that we were raised with or that we developed over time, and they can be hard to get rid of. And I think this can be especially prominent within the queer community.
Just a quick forewarning here, okay? This is where it gets really funny.
Gay men often pride themselves on being disgusted by vaginas, and the same goes for lesbian women with penises.
Okay, so right there. I want everyone to hold on to that in their minds as you consider exactly what it is this confused little snowflake is trying to tell us. So, sexual preference is a choice. Not necessarily a choice per se, but it's something that we've been programmed with. So all of you gay men out there, all of you gay men who just love the taste of dick, you can't get enough of it, right? All of you, you're wrong. You've been programmed. And if only you would open up your minds, you would find one of the 52 or 56 or 798 different genders out there may be just as attractive as you find your own husband. Oh, and ladies, by the way, lesbians out there, if you find yourself just loving to go down and just play with that clit and just eat that pussy, if you're really into that and that's really your thing, well, guess what? You two are wrong.
It's difficult because some queer people have built their sexual identities on these repulsions.
Built your sexual identity. It's not a fucking Hemi, okay? Your sexual identity is not a classic car that you're rebuilding after you take it off of somebody else who just left it to rot out in their yard. Just get past this idea, okay? You didn't build your identity. Your identity built you. And I'm so very sorry.
But I don't think they're innate at all. If you met someone who was extremely attractive, had a great personality, but didn't have the genitals that you wanted, you might be surprised to find that it isn't a deal breaker.
That's discovering that you're either homosexual or bisexual. Happens to people every day. And guess what? They all manage to do it without a flaky little millennial helping them along.
As someone who is trans and gay, sometimes people ask me with a very accusatory tone if I would date a girl with a penis. Because there's this stereotype that trans lesbians are just predatory cis men creeping on cis women.
Funny thing. That's not actually just a stereotype. It's actually a psychological theory called autogynephilia, which basically states that many of the male to female trans people out there who decide that, in addition to recognizing their own gender identity, that they're also lesbians at the same time, are quite often actually just fetishizing themselves as lesbians, as opposed to actually really recognizing who and what they are. But we can't say these sorts of things anymore, can we? God, no. I mean, thank God I don't live in Canada. Am I right, Riley?
But the thing is, I absolutely could be attracted to a woman with a penis.
That's called a man.
I could be attracted to any woman, cis or trans. If I find you attractive, I don't care what you have down there.
Wait a second, so you're only attracted to women, Riley? You're only attracted to women? That sounds very discriminatory. I mean, from where I'm sitting here, from my perch of gender-neutral privilege, I'm finding your rhetoric here very triggering, to be quite honest. The fact that you would only date women, even if it's a woman with a penis. What about a man with a vagina? Would you not date a man with a vagina? Why are you such a bigot? It's time that you just look inward and really just try and deprogram yourself from all of this fallacious media nonsense. But fuck, we haven't gotten there yet, have we?
But you can unlearn your own prejudices. It just takes time and conscious effort. And the way that we talk about potentially dating trans people has a lot in common with the way we discuss other preferences.
Preferences with quotey fingers. Because not being attracted to an ostensible woman with a massive Adam's apple and a face that looks like it was carved out of granite, with eye makeup trying to look like an owl, I guess. No, apparently it's if you're not attracted to what you're seeing on the screen right here, if you're not attracted to this, it's not because this person is unattractive, and it's not because you have a preference. It's because you've been programmed. You've got a lot of biases inside. You gotta clean that shit out, man. This is sort of like Scientology, only it's not contrived bullshit pulled out of nowhere so some people can get rich and other people can feel good. No, it's not that. You need to love this face, caress this face, appreciate its sharp ridges and edges, and understand that all human beings deserve love, and you owe it to all of them.
Saying that you're not attracted to fat people isn't innate. It's informed by a society that tells you that being thin is ideal. Everything in the media you consume is bombarding you with messages that skinny is beautiful and fat is ugly.
Here we go. Modern Gender Justice 101. No individual outside of the woke can possibly create or possess an independent thought or feeling. It is all the result of media programming, just like the reason that women are occasionally fucked by men and that men find women sexy. It's because of the video games we play, and in the very same way, it has nothing to do with the fact that morbid obesity, which causes back fat to pile up in rolls to the point where you wonder how many tits or asses someone even has on them. It's not that that is physically grotesque or a sign of severe health issues. No, you don't find that attractive because you watch too much TV. And we come full circle, haven't we, folks? It really is horseshoe theory in action. Modern gender justice warrior. They remind me so much of the pearl-clutching, nanny-state moral panic enthusiasts of the late 20th century. Congratulations, we've found our new shrill authoritarians, and they will come to you insisting that you call them by all manner of words that they made up in a vegan cafe. Just spitballing.
And even the nicest of people absorb these messages to some degree. But again, if you find someone attractive and really enjoy spending time with them, there's no reason why their weight should be a factor. Especially since we know that the relationship between weight and health is extremely complex, and you really can't make any moral judgments on a person based on their weight.
That's true, you can't make necessarily moral judgments on a person based upon their weight. But then again, I suppose you can because morals are subjective. However, let's not pretend that there's no science to back up the notion that being overweight, or in many cases morbidly obese, is in fact unhealthy. Let's have a quick look at one of my favorite global health ministers. Oh, look at that. That's beautiful. That is a minister of health. That is a minister of health. If she doesn't know what's healthy, and she's in a position of power in government, if she doesn't know what's healthy at that size, no one really ever will.
And lastly, let's talk about disabled people. Disabilities come in a very wide range, from being deaf to being in a wheelchair to only having one arm, and I think it's pretty ridiculous to say that you couldn't be attracted to any person who has any of those disabilities.
Okay, so this is the part where there's a little bit of a story. Just a little bit of a story. Now, actually, not on one, but 2 occasions I've actually dated girls with cerebral palsy. Mild cases caused them just to have a little bit of a limp. They couldn't run. That worked for me. But other than the limp, there was really nothing to give it away, and in both times they were dead sexy and funny as all fuck. Now, I've got to wonder how many Downs patients Riley Justin here has perhaps dated in Zer history, you know?
Disabilities can happen to anyone. Someone you're extremely attracted to today could become disabled tomorrow.
This actually happened to me once. I was dating this girl. Things were going really well, really well. I kind of thought maybe she was the one, but then one morning I woke up and she had Downs. Things haven't been the same since.
And that shouldn't make your attraction to them disappear. Though if it does, it might not be because of them, but rather because you have some preconceived ideas about disabled people that are just inaccurate and harmful. Unsurprisingly, this is another case of the media telling you that a certain group isn't attractive.
Okay, I want everyone to just take a moment and get comfortable in your seats, get something to drink, get a stiff drink if you can. Just make sure you're sitting down, because here comes the reason that apparently every disabled person out there is just dying for your affection and attention. Why they're so lonely.
Disabled people are rarely romantic leads. Their stories in movies and TV shows are often tragic, but that doesn't reflect the reality that disabled people can be happy and have dating lives and be attractive. Now, if you're not attracted to someone, you're not attracted to them.
Holy shit, I'm just gonna replay that little clip.
If you're not attracted to someone, you're not attracted to them.
Yeah, that's the one. Okay, here's the question. Could we not just actually have summed up the entirety of the video by saying,
if you're not attracted to someone, you're not attracted to them?
That.
I'm not going to tell you that you have to be attracted to this fat person or that trans person or that disabled person. But the more you work at unlearning your own prejudices, the more you'll be able to see people from these groups as people rather than tired stereotypes.
The irony being here is that most of the people who oppose this identity politics nonsense that people like yourself seem to cling to desperately in a bid to avoid whatever haunting demons of personal inadequacy or grander political realities you're trying to avoid. Those of us who reject these typically actually embrace the idea of individuals, because to me, trans people are not just a homogenous group. It's not just a monolith that I can point to and say, oh, the trans have this opinion. Likewise, black people are very much not a singular homogenous collective, nor fat people, nor disabled people, nor gay people or lesbians, or really any other group you can think that you are somehow obligated and empowered to speak on behalf of. I see individuals and not groups. I see people and not identities. This perhaps is another reason that you are so desperately fucking lonely, I'm going to guess. Because you can only see groups. You can only see communities, where in truth there are plethoras of individuals perfectly willing to get to know a person, but prefer that they get to know that person one-on-one as opposed to having some sort of diplomatic relations between two oppressed or non-oppressed communities. I'd tell you to get fucked, but I don't think that'll help you that much.
Unlearning our own biases doesn't happen overnight, and I don't have a step-by-step instruction guide for you. But I think if you can accept that these prejudices exist in all of us, even you can identify them when they come up and work to change how you think about them.
None amongst you are clean. None amongst you are without sin. Repent and repent now, or be doomed and damned forever. You know, it's just a slight change of cadence and pitch. And really, it's the same thing. Amazing, isn't it?
It will most likely be a long, slow process, but I think it's worth it. Because these dating preferences are ultimately harmful to people who don't fit into your box of what a conventionally attractive person looks like. It makes people feel isolated, alone, and unwanted to hear that they're universally unattractive to people.
Okay, so I hope you all got that. You are now duty-bound to go out and make out with the fattest, blackest, most crippled transsexual you can find in an effort to make the world a more just and equitable place, because if you don't, some feelings might be hurt. Some people might feel unattractive.
I don't think there's anyone out there who somebody doesn't find attractive. We're sold this image of the conventionally attractive person, but in reality, all kinds of people around the world are constantly dating, having sex, finding people attractive, getting married. It's not only the conventionally attractive who find love or have sex.
Absolutely right, and it's happening all around the world. You, for instance, would be a hot commodity in Thailand, I can tell you right now.
So by working on ourselves to dispel that idea, we can make the world a more welcoming and loving place for everybody, no matter how they look.
And there you have it. Your dating life. It needs to be a political act.
This video is a part of my Feminism with Riley series that I'm doing in collaboration with
Gonorrhea Dumpster Fire.
Everyday Feminism, a website dedicated to helping you stand up to and break down everyday oppression. Be sure to give this
That sounded so well rehearsed. Anyway, that's really all I've got. Thank you all for tuning in. As we can see now, social justice has become itself a homophobic movement, which is trying to erase the identities of gay and lesbian people out there by saying that even their, I suppose, binary choices or some shit like that. Well, that's oppressive. That's oppressive. And it really, the point is that you should be feel free to go out and date, to meet people, to be attracted to people, and you know what, your personal preferences and the people that you're attracted to, that's just fine. But at the same time, if you're not attracted to everyone else, then you're a bigot. So I guess on that note, I'll just say thanks, and I'll see you over at my channel, hopefully.